Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Omega Insights. Tonight's topic is techniques for grounding. Now, some of you may or may not know that I am a retired licensed massage therapist. I had a practice for 20 years. And in my practice, I was very fortunate to come across 4 teachers that really made a tremendous impact on my practice and for me as a human being, but just generally for me as well. These teachers taught me techniques that back then weren't in the books. This was just passed down from knowledge, just verbal knowledge passed down from teacher to student. So what I wanted to do is just share with you what some of these practices are. Now these are practices, techniques for grounding ourselves. Now I'm assuming everybody knows what grounding means when you're starting to get stressed or feeling overwhelmed or even spiraling out of control. There's a need or a required to ground ourselves, to center ourselves. You could use that terminology as well, centering ourselves. So the concept is we want to learn how to center ourselves. Now again, as I said, these came from 4 teachers that I had. I had a 3rd degree Reiki master. I had a Native American shaman, a psychic surgeon, as well as a psychic and energy healer. So these are the 4 people that made a tremendous impact on my practice as an LMT. So some of these techniques require body posture. Some of them require visualization or breathing techniques, as well as sound. I'm going to give you 7 that are just basic ones that are my natural go-to. Now here's the thing I want to mention. What works for me may not work for you. So find the grounding technique that works the best for you. If you're really good at visualization, go for the visualization. If you're not, go for something that's easier, like a simple body posture movement to help you ground. Find the one that works for you. These are just my 7 go-to that I've been practicing for well over 30 years. Now the first one is, you'll notice I'm standing, because standing is the best way to ground ourselves. It's the fastest way to ground ourselves. I was taught barefoot as much as possible, having your feet flat on the ground. Now of course being outside would be the best thing. However, make sure that you're standing on something that's comfortable. You don't want to be standing on the cool deck as it's 110 degrees outside. You don't want to be on the rock that's in the front yard. So make sure where you're standing outside it's comfortable. If you can get in some grass or some dirt, even sand is fine. Just be comfortable. And if you can't, being in the floor, wood floor is great, anywhere, but barefoot is the best. Now, of course, I know at work you may not be able to kick off your shoes and go stand in the corner and do a grounding activity, but you know, as much as possible, we could do this. You can actually manage to do these while you're having a conversation with another individual and just go into grounding. I actually do this sometimes when I'm talking to someone and they're very passionate. You know, the election that just went by, and I try not to get into it, so I will actually stand there and ground myself and let them have their experience, and it doesn't affect me. So again, these are things that you can practice anywhere at any time. The more you practice naturally, the easier it is and the faster you'll feel grounded. And you can build on top of them. So as I said, the first thing is you want to make sure you're standing, because standing gets your spine in alignment, as well as align the chakras. For those of you who understand the chakras, the energy systems that run through our system. So by standing, we activate or align them. Feet should be shoulder width apart. Your hips should be over your feet and shoulders should be over your hips. Meaning you shouldn't be leaning forward or leaning backwards. You want to just stand in a upright position and try to make your head tall as if somebody's pulling you, and you're going to stand nice and tall and your feet are grounded. Now feet are flat on the floor. Now once you're in this position, all you have to do, I'm not going to show you my feet, but just lift your toes and wiggle your toes. That's the first thing. Wiggle your toes. By wiggling your toes, you're drawing your attention to your toes, to your physical body, which is in the present moment, which helps us stay away from the stress, because typically we're stressing about things that are not in the present moment. They're fear-based or projection, what will, the what ifs. So if we wiggle our toes as we're standing, this is the first thing we can do. It's the easiest thing to do. If you can't wiggle your toes while you're in your shoes, don't worry about it. As much as you can, wiggle your toes. If you can't, no worries. Now you can add breathing techniques to this as well. Always remember, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. You want to breathe so you're expanding your diaphragm. Don't lift your shoulders. You want to expand out your diaphragm. That's the best way to breathe. Now, of course, there's tons of breathing techniques, and those of you who are familiar with some of the meditations we do a breathing technique where you breathe in for the count of 3, you hold it for a count of 3, then you exhale for a count of 3, and then you hold that for a count of 3. So you can incorporate that right now while you're doing your breathing. Wiggling your toes. You can do the breathing in addition to wiggling your toes. That's the first thing. Now, what we can do, another very quick thing to do, you may or may not remember growing up that thing, rub your tummy and pat your head to see if you can do that. But that's actually a very good thing to do. Well, not rubbing and patting, but if you take your left hand, which if our body is considered a circuit with energy running through this, the left hand receives energy and the right hand sends energy. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to go into more. So you're going to take your left hand and place it on your solar plexus. I'll stand a little higher. Place it on your solar plexus and take your right hand and place it on the top of your head. Same thing. Take a nice deep breath in and you're going to exhale out. So hand on your head. Don't push down. You want to just gently have your hand, resting your hand on your head and then just resting your hand on your solar plexus. That's all you have to do. Now you don't have to stand. I keep going up so you can see where my hand is on my solar plexus, but that's where you want to place it. You can stand like this. Now, of course, some of you may feel uncomfortable doing this at work, so you don't need to do that. That's only if you have the ability to do that. The other thing that I want to mention is with the hands. I know some people ask if you can do this, like if that helps grounding. If it works for you, do it. If you just know if you can sit peacefully, rest your hands and close your eyes and just breathe and put your hands where your thumb and your middle finger are connected and leaving your palms up, that's fine. If that works for you, it works for you. Really, what you want to do is find something that helps you stay grounded. Now, one of the things that works really well for me is water. Water is, if you know, when you take a shower, you always feel very refreshed and energized. It's not just because you use soap and shampooed your hair. It's the water. The water itself is cleansing, clearing out your energy. It's got a very vitalizing effect on our body. Those of you who've been through some of our Omega programs, you know we say take a shower before you go to bed to change, cleanse the energy out. Water is always very beneficial. So if you want to really ground yourself, get in the shower, do a grounding, stand in the shower, let the water run over you, wiggle your toes, take a couple of deep breaths. You can add these together, whatever works for you. So if you don't have the ability to get to water, this is my number one go-to. A glass of water. Now remember, sending and receiving. So what you're going to do is place your hands on this glass of water where you're holding it, coveting it like it's something very precious. Now what I do is I usually pull my elbows in and hold the glass in front of my heart. And I just hold it there. You take a couple of deep breaths, and then if you want, you could take a sip of water, couple deep breaths, another sip of water. Now, people have asked me, does it matter what kind of water? Does it have to be distilled or electrolytes? Can it be cold water, sparkling water? Here's the thing. Whatever you drink works. Water, plain water is great. I wouldn't suggest sparkling water, nothing that's got any addition to it, just regular drinking water. A glass is really good. If you can't get to a glass, plastic's okay, but the glass is actually the best. So a glass of water, it's an easy conduit. You can hold on to it and just make sure you're holding the water with both hands. So you're kind of sending the energy into the water to ground yourself. Very, very easy thing to do. I had an experience one time where I went to go see, a friend of mine bought me a psychic reading, and the woman had all this paraphernalia in her room, crystals and tokens, and I mean, literally, it was covered. It was a lot. They had little pyramids, and it was a lot of energy, and I'm very sensitive to energy. I was able to sit in there for just about 1 minute, and then the room started spinning, and I couldn't find a way to ground myself. So I just asked her if I could have a glass of water. And when she came back, I kicked my shoes off, put my feet flat on the floor, and just held the water. And I'm going to tell you, within a minute, everything stopped, and I held that glass of water the entire time I was in that room. So I'm super sensitive when it comes to having a lot of crystals and other metaphysical paraphernalia around that carries a lot of energy. If you're that type of individual, a glass of water is the easiest thing to do. Just hang on to that and just breathe. And, you know, of course, you can do the visualization of focusing, pretending the water is washing over you. That is very beneficial as well. So glass of water, very, very good. Now, another one that's very helpful, I learned this, probably one of the first things that I learned, is you're going to place the tongue on the roof of your mouth and hum. Now, I know people like to do ohms, and that's fine. You could do an ohm, but this is just what I was taught. So actually, if you hum right now, most of the time your mouth is closed, and you can feel the tingle or the vibration inside your mouth. It's a little distracting. So what you're going to do, that you know, I'm throwing the sound in the back of my nasal. So now what you're going to do is just open your mouth, place the tongue on the roof of your mouth, and hum. And do it as long as you can. Now, sometimes I do this with my eyes closed and I'm standing. I place the tongue on the roof of my mouth and just go, Now, I keep my eyes closed because for me, that's a good signal to go within. But if you're dizzy, don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes open and fix on a point somewhere in front of you, not too high, not too low. If you could keep it eye level, just fix on a point and just stand there and just breathe and go, I know it is a little odd, but we're talking about grounding. So that's another very easy one. Of course, I already introduced the idea of ohming. If that's something that you do, doing a couple of ohms is always very grounding as well. Now, a visualization. 2 visualizations that I was taught early on. The first one is to visualize yourself as an empty glass. So I just showed you this glass of water. So just imagine there's no water in the glass and you are an empty glass. And from up above, if you could think about when you fill a glass of milk and the milk is pouring out of the carton and you see that stream of white liquid falling into the glass, well, that's what you're going to visualize. You could do this with your eyes open, eyes closed, doesn't matter. But it is important that you're standing and that your feet are flat on the floor. And just visualize the white liquid coming down. Now, some people can correlate this to white light, whatever works for you. But because we have poured milk already, we know what that looks like. So just visualize the white liquid coming down to the top of your head and going all the way down to your feet, like going to the bottom of a glass, and then watch it fill up. So watch the glass of milk fill. So watch the white liquid fill all the way up until you get to the top of your head. And just like when you overfill a glass and the milk spills over, that's what you want to visualize. You're going to overfill the milk and let it spill over. Now, again, if you do this with white light, same thing. Just visualize the white light coming all the way straight down, going down to your feet, and then gathering it up in your body, and then just let it spill over you. Now, you could do that, just let it spill, and just feel that. For those people who just love to clean up, you're already thinking about, I got to clean the spilt milk. Don't think that. That's going to add stress. Some people actually like to connect the line going all the way back down and connecting to the feet and just kind of creating a loop of white light, you could do that too if that works for you. But the glass of milk is a very easy and simple one to do. The second thing that was taught to me was a tree. To visualize that you're a tree. So your feet would represent the roots and your arms are the leaves reaching up. So what you would do is just stretch your arms out as much as you can and looking up. And on this one, I was always taught to do the big inhale and then the exhale. So you're gonna inhale on the way up and then exhale while you're out there. Now remember, always inhale through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. So I know we're a little bit long, but there's one more thing I really want to show you, and this one is the fastest, quickest way to relax your body. So a lot of energy, if we think about we're walking around during the day and our energy and it kind of feels clunky, and a lot of people by the end of the day, their legs hurt. So here's a technique that I could show you that's going to actually help alleviate the heaviness, the energy that's carrying around in your legs. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your two hands and connect the thumbs like this. Once you connect them, visualize a CD. You know what a CD looks like. You're just going to visualize a CD and think about it as a white CD. It's just a plain blank white CD. Once you have that white CD, you will not detach your thumbs. You're going to keep your thumbs together. What you're going to do is take this CD and you're going to insert it on the top of your thigh. Don't take your hands off and always make sure that your thumb is connected. And then you're just going to drag it up over your knee, out over your ankle, and pull it over past your toes. And grab it like you're holding something. Then here's the trick. You're going to take this energy, we'll call it, and throw it at a light source. Meaning you're going to look for an outlet and toss it at the outlet. You're going to toss it at the light switch or toss it at an actual light. Never, ever, ever throw this at another human being. That's the warning I'm going to give you. I won't give you why. Just never, ever, ever throw this at another human being. Now you're going to do it twice. You're going to, once you get that done, you're going to take your hand again, visualize the white CD, slide it into the top of your thigh, drag it, remember keeping your thumbs connected, drag it all the way down over your ankle and out your toes. And then you're going to toss this to a light source. So it could be an outlet, a light switch, or an actual light, or a candle. If you have a candle, the flame is perfect. You're going to do that on each leg. But here's the thing. When you do this, I love telling this to people. Check your legs first. See which leg feels heavier, and then run that disc of light through your leg that feels the heaviest, and then check your legs to see which one feels. One that is the lightest now was the heaviest. By doing that, you actually pulled out the heaviness, and the heavy leg now becomes the lighter leg. You can actually do this on your arms as well. You could take your arm and just use your CD in one hand, put it in the top of your arm, and slide it all the way down past your fingertips, grab it, and again, toss it to an energy, an electric outlet, a light switch, a light, or a candle flame. You do that twice, do it on both sides, pull it all the way through. It's like you're pulling energy out, pull it all the way through and toss it away. And then see which arm feels heavier or lighter. It's actually a very easy thing to do. I really do enjoy doing that. So those are the techniques that were quick techniques that I was taught many years ago by some of my wonderful teachers that I've been blessed on. Thank you so much for letting me share these techniques with you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and send an email. I'd be more than happy to explain anything at further detail. So thank you for joining me this evening. I look forward to seeing you on Friday for our next coffee talk. Have a good night. Bye now.